Hello there, this is Sean Greasy. You are listening to volume 18 of our Visual Basic tutorial, which focuses on the use of timers within Visual Basic console. Okay, what are timers? Timers is this little icon here, as you can see, timer, which you can find in your component window. Let's put the timer on our interface. As you can see, it has a various range of properties. Remember, once you add a component, it is always good practice to rename it TMR for timers, and we'll call it TMR time. What we're doing in this example, we want to display the time, the current system time, which is in your little start menu in the bottom left of your screen, bottom right, and we're going to display that in this text box here. Every second which the timer interval initiates, we want to update this text box with the system time. Okay, let's see how this works. For a start, we've got the enabled property. This tells us that once we run the program, is it automatically enabled, or shall we enable it when we want to? Let's enable it when we want to. So when we click this button, let's enable the timer. Okay. The next property we're going to focus on, and last, is the interval. This tells us that every interval of the timer will release the next circulation. It's like a while loop. If you treat the timer as a while loop of interval, which we can put 1000, this is measured in milliseconds, so 1000 of these is equal to 1 second. As you can see, return sets the number of milliseconds. So 1000 milliseconds is 1 second, and we do want to update the time every 1 second, because that's how the time works in seconds. So we've got enabled false, we've named it, and we've set the interval to 1000, which is 1 second. So every 1 second, the code inside the timer will loop. So every 1 second we're running the code, every next second we're running the code. So every second inside the timer, we want the text box to change the value. Okay, so what we're going to do now is find out the name of our text box we have on our form, which is txt_user, that I've used in most of my examples. Okay. Time is an inbuilt Visual Basic function which calls the system time. It's similar to beep. Beep makes your internal system clock beep. Time displays your time. You've also got the date and things like that. So let's add the time and date. Let's try and be clever about this. Okay. So every 1 second, the user text is going to update the date and the time within the text box, and it's going to separate these with a little dash and a space each side. Remember, we don't really need to update the date every second, because it doesn't change until a 24-hour duration has gone by, in which the day property will change. But as for the time, the second will change every second, so this does need to be here. Okay. Remember that we did not auto-enable the timer here. We want to display the time when we click this button. So we've called the timer TMR time, remember? So what we're going to do now is put TMR time dot enabled. There's your properties from the properties window. Equals true. So hopefully when we click the button, save our work, the timer should display in the text box and auto update. And there you go. As you can see the system date. We've separated it with this string here. There's the system time. The text box is re-updating every second. We set the interval to 1000 milliseconds. As you can see, it's updating. So if we type something, it'll update every second, as you can see. If you don't want users to enter values in your text box, I'll show you a little trick here. Let me see, locked. If we set the lock property to true, press this, you'll notice that users cannot type anything within the text box. That's a little property called locked. Okay, now you've been listening to the timer tutorial in the Visual Basic series. We hope you enjoy the other tutorials on the website. Goodbye.